So what does a normal day at work look like for you?
I come into the city and I work in this building predominantly, which is the executive building, and sometimes I go to Parliament House for my work. I work between probably 9 and 12 hours a day, mostly at work in my office. Some people are good at working at home, but when I'm at home I like to spend time with my family, so I like to take my work home. I do it here. So most of my day will be meetings, so I go around meeting lots of people and talking about the sorts of things they need from us and seeing how we're helping them do their work better, and then talking to my staff, my team, about how we can help people be better at delivering for Queenslanders.
For someone interested in starting a career in this line of work, what pathway would you recommend?
I think if people want to be a public servant and work in government, then it's probably useful to do some study around government and what government is, so a little bit about democracy and the systems of government and our framework, and also to have a think really, so sometimes that can be university, and you might want to go and work in public policy to make, you might want to work in law, so you might want to work in how we draft the laws that run Queensland. Or you might be interested in politics itself, which isn't quite what we do, but I think that you should probably go to university and should certainly have an interest, a very keen interest in public affairs. So you should know what ideas there are, what are the big public issues, and what are some of the ideas about how to solve them.
What major decision have you made in your life that has influenced your career choice?
I think went to QUT, it was then, QIT, and I studied business communications. So I did a major in public relations, and I was really interested in working for non-government organisations. So I was interested in fundraising and making money for causes, so quite taken by a cause. And I worked in a non-profit fundraising consultancy for a long time, and then I worked in a private enterprise, and I worked in a HR personnel firm. And I think I just decided that instead of putting people into jobs, some of the work that I was doing was a bit soul destroying. So someone would ring up and they would say, "Oh, I run a trucking firm and I need to have somebody, my receptionist is sick, so I need to have somebody to answer the phone, but don't send me fat ones." And I thought, really? Don't you want somebody who's going to be really awesome with your customers? Wouldn't that be the best thing? And they can work the phone system and be really awesome with your customers? Because they're on the phone, no one can see them. What does it matter? And I think that was, I made a choice then that I would look for something that was more useful. Now, giving people jobs is a useful thing, there's nothing wrong with that. But I felt like I would like to serve a higher purpose, and then I applied to be a graduate in the Australian Public Service, and I went to Canberra, and I got in, was lucky enough to get in, and I went to Canberra and started my career in the Australian Public Service.
If this isn't your dream job, what decisions have led you away from having your dream job?
See, I don't know. I think about dream jobs. I think there are some people who do have dream jobs, and they might be a ballet dancer or a violin player or working with plants or animals. Those jobs which feel like vocations, which really draw people and they can't help it but do that thing. And I don't have a job like that. I've done lots of different things, but I've got important things that I like to have in my job that make the job good. So I don't know that I think that there's a dream job for me. I've had some great jobs, but every job I do, I try and make great.
What educational preparation did you need to undertake to reach this job?
Well, like I said, I've got a Bachelor of Business Communications, which it's not irrelevant for this position. It's not directly relevant. I've got a lot of experience in this position now. But I think what I did was translate my university study, which was about customers and about strategies and about analysing and communicating, decisions and persuading people, and I've been able to use that to my advantage all the way through. So they're skills that have carried through whatever job I've had, but I've been lucky enough to just get a lot of experience in this field now. So it's not directly related to my university study, but I use my university study every day.
Why did this type of work interest you, and how did you get started?
Well, I got started because I applied just as a graduate, so I just thought I really need to have a change from this job that I was doing that I thought was a big yard, working with people who I didn't really respect, not my colleagues but my clients, and I was lucky enough to get, and I went and worked in Social Security in Canberra, and it was amazing, and it was just something I hadn't even imagined, a type of work I hadn't even imagined. And I really loved the focus on doing stuff for people, like trying to solve big problems. So that's sort of how I got there.
If you were going to change the direction of your job, where would you go and how would you do it?
I have just had a big, when I got this job, which is the Executive Director of Corporate Services in Corporate Governance in DPC. Previous to that, I have been working a lot in strategic policy, so that means thinking up new ways of doing stuff, you know, so how do we tackle some really big problems in Queensland? How might we tackle homelessness or, you know, some really big problems, and working across all the government. So the stuff that I've been working on has traditionally been not just a health problem, so if it's not fixing tuberculosis or, you know, getting in better immunisation, or it's been about how we reduce obesity, or some of the problems that, some of the bigger problems, which mean we need to use education and we need to use convincing and advertising, and we need to bring in the stakeholders. So we really need to bring in lots of peak bodies who might be, you know, we might need to deal with fast food, nutritional labelling, or some of the bigger issues. So that's I've moved from doing that sort of big thinking into this corporate governance role, which is about helping Department of Premier and Cabinet to really, how do I describe it to you? The things we do, we provide a whole range of services. So your mum has got the travel policy for the whole department. Every day she comes in and she helps those guys think about how that they need to get from point A to point B. What's the best way to do that will get them to the place they want to get, but it will be the best value for money for the Queensland taxpayer. So that's how so these people who might be on a domestic violence task force, so they might be going around Queensland with Quentin Bryce, the ex-Governor General, talking to Indigenous communities, talking to rural and regional communities, talking to men's groups about domestic violence and family violence, and your mum helps get that group around in the most economical and efficient way possible. So everyone in my team has got a special job like that, and so I help them do that part of the job, so that these front people in premiers who are doing big work about domestic violence, or about looking at what happened during the floods in Grantham, or Anzac Day, working on Anzac Day, or G20, or one of those, you know, one of those things, we help them do their job the best way we can and spend money wisely and well.
What's your greatest accomplishment that has come from this job?
I don't know, you know, I can't really put my finger on it. I think I have some really great wins. Some things just work out perfectly, and it's at the right time for it, and you slip in a good idea, and it just works out, and that's great. I think for this job, probably all my gang are quite achievers. So they're not flashy, they don't put themselves forward, but they come in every day and they do an excellent job, and they work really hard for the people of Queensland, and they don't ask for praise, and they don't ask to get in the front line, and they never do. And I hope that since I've been working here, they feel a bit prouder of themselves and the work they do. I think they try a little bit harder every day, we get a little bit better at what we do every day, but I hope they feel proud of themselves, because I'm super proud of them.
How do you handle a difficult situation, and how do you solve it?
I'm a fairly direct person, So generally I will confront it. So try not to do that in an aggressive way, but if there's a difficult situation, we have to sit down, you have to acknowledge that it exists, and then you need to try and work a way through it. So you need to have the people who are part of the solution in the room while you're talking about the problem. So you focus on the solution rather than the problem. And also the other thing is, if it's a difficult situation, so for example, if someone's made a mistake or we've done the wrong thing, you have to own it. You have to go, yeah, you're right, that wasn't the best way to tackle that. We should really have talked to that person first, or should have included them in the decision making, or whatever it is. And so you have to admit the situation's difficult, admit if you've made a mistake, but really focus on the solution and get the right people in the room to do it. So, but I'm pretty direct. So I don't go around, and I don't ignore it. I always go for it.
Have you ever been in a situation where you wanted to change your profession? What do you think your life would be like if you did?
Yeah, I did. I think when I was younger, I thought that I might, before I had my children, I thought I might like to run for local council. I thought I might like to be a local councillor for Kedron or something. Yeah. Well, in the first place, I wanted to change my profession, went from private enterprise to working in public service, and that was really good, and I loved that. And then I thought I might like to go and work as a local politician, to be an advocate for my local area. But then my babies came along, and you've got to work 24 hours a day when you're a local representative, and I didn't want to do that. It's too much. It's too much.
Where would you like to be in your career 5 years from now?
I don't know. I haven't really had career plans like that. Well, after my children were born, I worked for a long time, part-time. So you can't, it's very difficult to have a vigorous career while you're part-time.
Yeah.
And then because you're too conflicted, and it's just everything becomes a compromise. I'm full-time now and able to have a good focus on my career. I think really in 5 years' time, I'd like to have learned a whole lot more. I think there's a lot more to do, and a lot of things I don't know about yet, and I'd like to try some other stuff. So, but in the public service, probably in a different department, maybe in a line department, maybe in a department that does a bit more customer service, like straight onto customers. So whether that was police or health or education or one of those departments, maybe a department of communities that helps so many people. There might be something I could do there a bit different.
When you were a young child, what would you answer when people would ask, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah, I thought I wanted to be the Prime Minister for a while. I thought I was probably going to be a teacher. But I think that's easy because you see teachers, so you know what that job is.
Yeah.
Like you can understand. Well, you can understand that front actual in the classroom bit. You don't understand how they have to deal with the parents and the other staff and do the marking and all that other stuff. But you think you've got a clue. But all the other jobs, you just haven't got a clue what they are until you do them.
Was there anything that sparked a particular interest in that? Oh, for you in that age?
No, I think that was just what I could see that was around me. Yeah, just typical. Yeah, exactly.
What's the greatest difference between what you thought the job would be and what it is?
Do you know what? I felt, even though I work in the public service and I'm a public servant, I've had masses of different jobs. So I've worked in Department of Social Security, it was then, so handing over dole checks over the counter at Centrelink, helping put in the phone system, so when people ring up Centrelink to ask about their family payment, making sure the phones go through to the right people and they've got scripts and stuff. I've worked in Department of Families here, looking after youth homelessness and poverty and suicide, and worked in the Department of Primary Industries, which is now Agriculture and Forestry and Fisheries, and I looked after women in rural industries, so it was after a drought, and we had to really help the whole rural sector try and do stuff differently. It's a drought, your sheep are going to die, you're not going to be able to afford to restock it, so what can you do? If this is your home and your business and you live here and it's a drought, What can you do that's going to help you stay here in your community? I've had some awesome jobs. They've all been really quite different. But the thing that I found, and that keeps me in the public sector, is that everywhere I've gone, people have a real passion for serving the people of Queensland. So if I worked in the communities department, that was because they really cared about domestic violence, or they cared about youth justice, so they cared about keeping kids out of jail. And in primary industries, I met all these people who wanted to grow the best soybean in the world that would be able to survive drought and be really a very productive bean to feed the world. You know, people who just cared so much about that stuff. They cared about pigs and how you get better bacon off pigs, but keep them, you know, just really interesting things. And I think the thing I like about that I'm drawn to, is that people I work with care about what they do. So they want to come to work every day, they work hard, they're focused on the outcome, not just, you know, I've got to fill this form in, I've got to type this email, I've got to have this meeting, but they care about why they're doing it. And you work a long time in your life, you know. So to work with people who are committed and interesting and funny and got a good energy about them, makes it worth it. Yeah. Well, we're just, and you know, you pick people for your groups. You know, when you do group work, how different it is when you've got a gang that gets what you want to do. Like you can agree that you want to do what you want to do. You can, you know, you work it out, and then you go, yeah, let's do that. And then you go off and bite it off bit by bit, and you go, yeah, that was good. That was good. No, that bit didn't go so well. Let's do this next bit a different way. You know, and that's exactly what work is like. It's exactly what work is like. You've got big projects to do, you've got little projects to do, you have to do your bit, you have to do your bit. We have to come together and get it. And when it works, it's great. It's got a good feeling about it. So that's what I like. And I'm lucky, because I've had a lot of it, really. I get to do something I like that's generally pretty useful and get paid well for it. So, yeah, pretty much.